What's up, visionary?
What's good?
Welcome to another wonderful episode of Visions of Love and Relationships. I'm Tanya, and this is my wonderful husband.
Lamont,
And we hope you're doing well as usual.
as usual.
So, if you're new to the channel, we'd like to start by asking you to drop some fire, hearts, or eyes in the chat, whatever you like. Let us know that you had a fire week or a lovely
if you
week.
didn't have a 5 week,
You can still let us know.
Yep.
Let us know how your week went. Okay. So ours was wonderful.
Yeah.
Went very well. Birthday week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So very excited. But if you've been with us for a while, then you know that Lamont and my mission is to ultimately create healthier relationships, healthier marriages, and help you go from conflict to connection in those relationships, just like we did.
Yeah. And we know,
and still are.
Yeah, and we know in order for us to do that, it starts with you. We got to help you, the one looking at this video right here, change your perspective of things.
Yep. Which brings us to a different perspective.
Yeah.
A different perspective is like just what it says, but a lot of people don't think about the difference. Well, they don't think about their partner's perspective.
Yeah.
And how that dynamic changes a relationship depending on how they, perceive what their partner trying to get across.
Yep.
So that's actually very important.
And it changed
in a relationship.
Conflict in that area too.
Yeah, it's very
coming with a wrong perspective.
Right. So regardless of what we believe, relationships are not born of love, but born of need.
Yeah.
Real love is born when we understand what the perspectives are and what it do.
Yeah.
And what's necessary for our relationship.
Yeah. And you begin to do what's necessary for the relationship to work. And I think, like you said, going back to the first part, what you said, real relationships are born out of not out of love, but a need. And that first need for a man and woman, man might be for sex. The woman might be for intimate connection, or it might be for sex, but we don't know. And if we get stuck at that first part, then we're missing the whole perspective of the relationship, and we fail to get to the second part, which is actually love. And we can get construed with the need and love. And we get stuck on the need, and then we think it's love.
Right. Absolutely.
So today we want to give you a new perspective, or help you understand a different perspectives, so you can get a new perspective on just how to look at things, so we won't get too caught up in our feelings and things that we can't change.
Right.
Which brings us to the story of the three elephants.
Yeah.
The elephant and the three blind men.
So you see those lovely elephants we got in the background.
Yeah,
yeah, we got them three in the background. But yeah, so the first blind man touches the elephant's trunk and declares elephants are long and thin and move a lot. But he's in the front.
Yeah.
And he's blind, so that's the perspective he got. Oh, they're long. He's touching the trunk.
Yeah.
Okay, so the second blind man
at the back.
He's at the back. And he says, no, elephants are massive. Oh, and they dump smelly stuff on you. Okay, so he at the back. He blind. He like sniffing.
Smelling that dump.
Yeah, like they big. So that's his perspective. And then the third blind man, he's at the tusk. And he's touching the tusk and says, you're both wrong. An elephant is smooth and hard and has a sharp point.
Yeah.
Okay, so those are three totally different perspectives
of the same thing.
Put into a relationship though,
if we don't,
if you're going in blind, and you're not like a communicator with your partner about their perspective
or your
perspective, then I mean you ultimately gonna be
conflict is gonna show up in a relationship.
The wrong thing, like these guys, like they blind and they at different parts of the elephant, so they going off of what they feel.
Yeah.
What they smell. You know, they ain't going off what they see because they're blind.
Think.
What they, yes.
They perception.
What they think. Absolutely.
And anytime we go into any situation with just our own perception of things, then we always get things misconstrued because we don't have all the information to make a right decision.
Right.
And that comes with understanding and knowing the other person's perspective.
Yeah. That personal perspective, connecting to relationships. You got to understand that personal perception and the disagreement source. So with their personal perception, your partner bring unique viewpoints based on history.
Yeah. Or what they've been through in life.
Yeah.
So mine would be different than yours because I've been through different things.
Right.
We would have a different lifestyle. So if our lifestyle is different, naturally we would have different ways about going about conflict.
Right.
Naturally we would have different ways about expressing what we want and need in a relationship.
And naturally we would have different ways of perceiving things. Like the way you perceive it might be different than how I perceive it. Like, okay, what's a good example? Like maybe I'm gonna say staying out all night. I don't know if that's a good example, but you might think, like you grew up, you got to stay out. You know what I'm saying? But when I grew up, my mom like, don't let the street lights catch you.
Yeah.
So it's like when you out, I'm perceiving that you out doing something that you ain't got no business doing, but you could just be out, Yeah.
But my perception is probably something negative because most of us, we stay inside our head, so our perception is always going to be the negative side of things because we thinking only about ourselves and our own view of the situation.
Yeah.
Not knowing what's going on with them.
Right. And that's when conflict arises.
Yeah.
In that relationship, when we have different perspective on, the way we see our individual perception.
And what we need from our partner too.
And what we need.
Because as you said, like I said, as far as staying out, sometimes we want our partner not to stay out like that. We want him home, but he's not, or they not the person that want to stay home.
Right.
So your perception is, I want a man to stay home. I want a man to be here with me. But their perception is, I don't want to be all smothered up, stuck in the house. I like to be out.
Yeah.
And if we don't understand it, then we clash and like, I want you home. You need, and they want to be out, and then all of a sudden we were rebelling with each other, trying to get our point across, and we don't get our point across because we're not understanding each person's point of view.
Right. Neither do we try, especially in the moment. And and again, you don't know what you don't know. A lot of people just don't know that perspectives cause a lot of conflict. We're not on the same page. Okay, so the first perspective that you want to recognize, grab a hold to, is perspective of self. Because, you can't never change anybody anyway.
Yeah.
You could change yourself, though. So you got to identify and understand your thoughts, feelings, and desires.
Because that's what's going to, and don't get misconstrued with your thoughts, feelings, and desires and push that on somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Because we can't do that. We got to recognize our own thoughts and feelings and realize that we can't be in our head with our thoughts and feelings. We got to put it out in the open.
Yeah. A lot of time awareness is the number one thing that is needed. Yeah. You got to be aware. So you got to identify what it is. You understand your thoughts, feelings, and desires. Yeah. Okay, so identify what those are. And then next, you need to be able to express self. So you need to be able to express yourself, communicate clearly without defensiveness.
Yeah, and understand your partner's point of view. Mm-hmm. He might not be, or they might not be able to give you what you want.
Yeah. Communicate clearly. Yeah. And don't do it with defensiveness again. Okay, so a good example of that, what that look like is just like, baby, I need you to stay in a little bit more with me. Come off, I need you. Yeah. And I want you to come home tonight, come, don't be defensive. Be more loving and caring and, understanding.
Yeah, and a man values that. A man values a woman that needs him versus a woman that wants him.
Mm-hmm.
See, if you want a man too much, he'll run over you. But if a man feel like you need him, then he feel obligated to serve you.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to change our approach, that we trying to get what we want and communicate clearly without defensiveness and accusatory tone.
Mm-hmm.
I said, hey, you need to do. You need to do. Anytime we do stuff like that, we're not communicating clearly, and we being defensive without communication, and we will not get nothing done. We will not get nothing solved.
Yeah. Okay. So next, you want to be able to manage. You want to be able to control your emotions and reactions. Stay open to vulnerability.
Because when our emotions get out of control, we stuck in our own perception of the situation. Mm-hmm. All we thinking about is me, what you did to be me. Mm-hmm. And when we do that, like I said, we're not in our right perspective. We're only in our self perspective.
Right.
And self perspective don't get connected with you and your partner. Don't bring back the connection.
Yeah. So make sure you have a clear perspective of self.
Yeah.
It's always about self. Always check self first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's the thing we can change. We can't change nobody else, but we can change ourselves. And then once we change ourselves, our perception of things, then we can say, all right, I understand. I'm getting out of my head. Mm-hmm. I'm getting out of my thoughts. I'm getting out of my feelings. I'm controlling my emotions. And when I'm able to do that, then I'm able to listen to my partner.
Right.
Perspective.
Right.
Without interrupting.
Yeah.
Without being defensive. And asking questions in a genuine, curious way, so we can get and understand our partner's perception.
Yeah, about your partner and why he's doing certain things or why he perceives things a certain way.
Yeah.
And then next, understanding. And as you see, understanding, it comes up a lot. Yeah. Understanding came up for the woman. If you caught our video last week, then you'll know that we touched understanding.
Is what the woman needs, but both partners need understanding.
Yeah,
we come.
Everybody need understanding.
Both partners need understanding, and understanding is the icebreaker to start building true love in a relationship. Yeah. Like I said, we relate to each other based off of need, but understanding is the icebreaker to start building true connection with your partner.
Yeah, because both viewpoints can't. They can coexist together.
Yeah, they can coexist.
Whether they right or wrong.
Yeah.
It's up to us to be the judge. We don't have to fall into the argument of,
because it's not about who's right
or wrong. Right. So we don't have to fall into the argument of state.
Yeah.
Because we feel like something's wrong or something right. It's not about that.
Or our perspective is
right.
It's right, or our perspective is wrong.
Ultimately, we're a team, and if we can sit down and talk about it and discuss it.
Or if you can't talk about it, leave the situation, come back and return to it. But by all means.
When I say ultimately, we can talk about it and stuff, that's what I mean. You definitely need to talk about it, whether you got to leave or, right then and there. Ultimately, talk about it, because both perspectives again can coexist, whether right or wrong.
Because you don't want to win the war and lose the battle. And the battle is the battle for the heart. The battle is the battle connecting. The battle is the battle really connecting, especially if you're married, because your goal in marriage is to be husband and wife and cling to each other. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't be husband and wife and you're not clinging to each other. You clinging to somebody else outside. You clinging to one of your friends. You're clinging to your homeboys. You're clinging to your homegirls. If you're not clinging to each other, then it's a lot of misunderstanding in a relationship. You guys not seeing eye to eye.
Yeah.
And y'all perspective is messed up about what you want and who you want.
Yeah. So you need to have emotional intelligence in communication.
Yeah.
All right. So recognize, identify emotions in self and partner. And that's what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Very important. Identifying self first and partner.
Yeah.
All right. Manage, control reactions to prevent escalation.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying too before.
Control your perspective.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it really don't matter who right or wrong. If we want this relationship, if we want this marriage, we're going to look past the perspective thing. We're going to talk it out.
Yeah. And I know, like I said, sometimes we're in that heated moment and it just rages. We had a rageful moment, but we got to realize whoever gets angry first is the weakest, man. The first person to get angry, that's the weak person. That's the one who's emotionally unstable. And you don't want to be the one that reaches that point first in a relationship, because in that instance, you lose. Whoever get emotionally unstable in a relationship, when y'all talking and y'all in a little agreement or disagreement, is the one, the weakest one with the emotion. And sometimes it's the girl, sometimes it's the boy. He might run out and not want to participate in the conversation that might get escalated, because we're talking, and we like we said, we come with different group perspectives, so there will be conflict. There's no running from it. There's no getting around conflict. We come with two different perspectives, but the goal is to engage in constructive communication and effectively resolve the challenges.
Absolutely.
In a relationship.
Absolutely. So engage.
Engage.
All right. Yeah. So another thing is that our perspectives, they just will never be the same, because we're different people. I'm woman, you man, you know.
And you like to talk. I'm quiet. I'm introvert. I'm introvert.
So he say. Nah, he's pretty quiet. But yeah, make sure you engage, communicate effectively to resolve them challenges that you're going to face, because you will face challenges. All right. Okay. So this is how you can stay emotionally connected or be emotionally connected. Customer service.
Yeah.
That's a good one, you know. If you ever been to a McDonald's or somewhere where they use customer service.
Every place uses customer service.
Yeah, every place
uses customer service.
Yeah, but I say McDonald's and stuff because they be trying them. Yeah. They be trying them, so they got to have excellent customer service, okay? So yeah, get caught up in your partner's feelings.
The real key thing is customer service. You of service to somebody else. That's the goal of emotional connection, is to be of service to somebody else. And I'm sure if anybody, if you Christian or something watching this thing, then God came here to do nothing but he was a service to everybody. So he was a service to people. So if you want to be in relationships, it's the art of customer service. How can I serve my partner? How can my partner serve me? That's the whole goal. And
that's what I was getting at.
And we're trying to outserve. Our goal is to outserve each other. Now you don't want to give too much where you drain, but our ultimately goal in a relationship is to outserve each other with customer service.
And that's what I was getting at with the customer service, asking questions. When you go in somewhere, they say, "Hey, how you doing?" Yeah. So when your wife or something come in, "Hey, how was your day?" You know, customer service, like getting into them. You know,
but the main thing is
what's making you upset. You know when your partner's upset or something. So I think asking questions is a key to customer service.
And you asking questions, why? Because you're trying to solve their problem,
right?
And our problem
more about what's
you can't solve, but
yeah,
you asking questions in the customer service role of the relationship, because you're trying to solve your partner's problem. If you can solve the problem, sometimes you can't. But if the problem in the relationship is something that you can solve, we need to get off our high horse or come up on the horse and solve the problem. Because sometimes we living at the grandiose places, we don't want to come down and meet each other, see each other eye to eye with the right perspective, and we want to just get caught up in our feelings and stand our ground, both try to be superwoman and superman, and not want to cave in to be in the customer service role to our partner. We want everybody want to do for self. And when we come inside a relationship and we don't want to work, then you can do like that. You can stay in that relationship and you can just be two individuals for self inside a relationship. But if you want your relationship to last and you want your relationship to actually grow and be fulfilling, then we got to come inside the relationship and be of customer service. Get caught up in our partner's feelings.
Right. And while we in that customer service, we need to focus on responding.
Yeah.
And not reacting.
Yeah.
There's a clear difference.
Yeah. There's a clear difference.
Yeah.
And if you don't get the difference right, you can get things messed up.
Yeah, pretty quickly. Don't get those perspectives wrong, okay? Responding and reacting is two totally different things, okay? But more importantly, you want to keep balance. You want to keep that, maintain that emotional independence while empathizing.
Yeah.
I believe everything is about balance.
Yeah, it's about balance. Yeah. Both perspectives can coexist in the same atmosphere at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Just find that balance.
Yeah.
Engaged communication framework. Yeah. Okay.
And it's a 2-part series.
Mm-hmm.
One person the initiator,
mm-hmm.
the one person is the receiver. And here's the thing about arguments. An argument does not get started if you don't take the bait. Me and my we got a thing is we say, well, not we don't say, but we go by this thing is it takes two to argue. One to initiate, the other to take the bait. And we don't want to take the bait because around here we call them, all we catch is big mouth bass.
Okay.
All we catch around here is big mouth bass, and I know I don't want to be no big mouth bass.
Okay. Neither do I.
So we gotta realize we don't want to take the bait because it takes two to argue, one to initiate, and one to receive.
Yeah, so that's deep in perspective.
Yeah,
because the initiator, again, like I mentioned earlier, might be saying something, and you just receive it so wrong.
Yeah,
that you fire off. Okay, so.
And maybe it's because the initiator didn't express their thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The initiator expressed their thoughts and feelings, and it need to be clearly and calmly.
Yeah.
Okay. I just definitely think that it do take two to tango.
It takes two to tango.
Yeah.
One to initiate, the other takes the bait.
Receive, yep.
So stop going out there getting them fish.
Right.
You might get a big mouth bass.
Okay. So if you're on the receiving end, make sure that you're listening actively.
Yeah.
And ask curious questions.
Yeah.
If you're curious, ask. Don't assume.
Yeah.
Because there you go with your perspective.
Yeah.
Or your perception of what you think going on.
Yeah. And you never know.
Yeah, just ask the doggone question. Okay?
We should ask the doggone questions.
Ask the doggone questions. So let me do this overdose. 70% of disagreements will not get solved. You can change that. 30% you can.
Yeah. Because like we said, the only thing you can change in any situation is how you respond to the situation. Mm-hmm. You can't change how nobody else respond. But here's the thing that Maya Angelou said. She said people will forget. People won't forget what you said, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Mm. So what we bring to the relationship, what we bring to the problem, what we bring to the situation is ourselves. So that's the 30% that we can change whatever we bring to it. So we might bring we might bring trust issues. We might bring insecurities. We might bring not being able to commit. We might bring untrustworthiness. Mm-hmm. Who knows what we bring to the situation? But ultimately, whatever we can change, it's only ourselves. We can't change nobody else. And it's important to understand that you can't change your partner. Your partner can't change you. What you can change is what you accept and what you won't accept. That's on us.
Yeah. And you can change the way you perceive things. You can change your perception.
That's on you.
That's on you. And then you can work on your, perceiving your partner's perception.
Understanding your partner's perception.
That's what I mean. Understanding your partner's perception, or at least taking a step back and not taking everything so critical,
Yeah.
That your partner say.
Yeah. And get out of our head. Get out of our head and come back into reality. If we got the person in front, so we can solve the problem and not have to do everything in our head, because in our head we only going by our perception of things. We're not getting a full view, full picture of the way things are.
Mm-hmm. So and in order, to make a decision, in order to get that full picture, it's going to require communication.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So again, if you curious about something, ask the questions to your partner before you fire off.
Yeah.
That's a good way to keep your relationship healthy.
And if you want something from your partner, ask it in a calm way.
Yes.
You got to convict. Like I said, people will not change if you try to force them to change. Try to force somebody to stay home. Try to force somebody in commitment. Try to force somebody to be who you want them to be. Only thing you can do is convince somebody. And if they willing to be of customer service to you, then they gonna work their butt off to kind of meet what you want.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna work their butt to meet your standards, to meet your needs. They're gonna work towards that. But if they don't want to be with you, if they don't want to be in a relationship, then their actions gonna say it. Sometimes we need to step back and we need to look at, a lot of times actions speak louder than words in relationships.
Yeah. And I think another thing that people need to understand before we go, is that if you're single, if you're not married, then you're single.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't have anything bonding you together. So if you with somebody who's not meeting your standards and you just think this person ain't the one for you, or even get that thought, leave. Or do a reality check, do something different, move different. I mean, because there's no contract.
Yeah. And after you put it out there, you seen their perspective, and you just like, well, that's
you seen and you understand
their perspective, and you like, well, that 70% that they bring to the table, that's too much. I can't deal with that. So the 30% that I can change, I don't even want to do that because it's just too much work to mess with them. So if you're in a situation where you like, dang, I've seen their perspective and it's just not working, then understand that all things don't work out. Sometimes we're unequally yoked. I just can't see your perspective in life. I just can't see nothing. I just can't see it.
Yeah.
When we if I could see it, then we'd be out of our relationship would be a whole lot better. I know it ain't gonna be perfect because we both come with different perspective, but ultimately we'll be seeing eye to eye in our relationship. And it starts early on.
Yeah.
Because you can't force love. You grow it.
Yeah. This has been another episode of Visions of Love and Relationship. We hope you enjoyed it. If you got something out of it, go ahead and like, comment, share, do your thing. This has been another episode of Visions of Love and Relationships. Again, we're in Georgia.
Yes.
All right. And they had vision, and together they built the life